Casemiro is leaving Manchester United as a cult hero after being told he was behind every single midfielder at the club. A massive upgraded bid for Elliot Anderson is being prepared right now. Arsenal are circling Marcus Rashford. Liverpool are fighting United for a £70 million attacker. And the man who has quietly transformed this football club in just a matter of months is still waiting to find out if he has a job next season. This is not a quiet week at Old Trafford, but this is the moment where decisions made in the next few weeks will define the direction of Manchester United for years to come. The transfer window is not even open yet, and already the stories are coming fast. Some of them are exciting, some of them are urgent, and some of them demand answers from the people running this club right now. Stay with me, because today we are breaking all of it down. Every story, every rumour, every confirmed development. And I am going to tell you exactly what it all means for Manchester United going forward. Welcome to Adam United Analyst. Let us get into it. Cole Palmer and Manchester United. Here is what is being said right now. Sources outside of Chelsea continue to insist that Cole Palmer would privately consider a move to Manchester United. Read that again carefully. Sources outside of Chelsea, not sources inside, not sources close to the player, sources outside of the club. That is a very specific and very important distinction. Chelsea's own position could not be clearer. Any approach for Palmer would be instantly rejected. The England international is not expected to leave this summer. Now let me give you my analysis on this. The situation is one that United supporters should be cautious about. The reality for the club is that Chelsea hold all of the power in this conversation. Palmer is their asset. Palmer is under contract. And Chelsea have made it abundantly clear they have no intention of selling him. So what exactly is being reported here? What this tells us is that there is a level of desire or curiosity on Palmer's side. But desire and reality are two completely different things in football. A player privately considering something means nothing if the selling club has already closed the door before any conversation can even begin. The evidence suggests this is a story being kept alive from the outside, not from Chelsea, not officially from Palmer, and not from Manchester United. Until there is movement from any of those three parties, this remains a rumour. Nothing more, nothing less. Do not get swept up in this one just yet. Dimitar Berbatov backs Michael Carrick. Now, this is a name that carries weight in football conversations. Dimitar Berbatov, a man who wore the Manchester United shirt with class and distinction, has spoken publicly about the current situation at the club. Here is exactly what he said. Yes, and more than that. The team have qualified for the Champions League. They are playing free-flowing football and scoring goals. Of course, there is still work to be done. But when you look at where the team were with all the problems and how much they have improved, if you asked anyone, 99% would say, of course. For me, it is a no-brainer he needs to stay. He is talking about Michael Carrick. And he is saying without any hesitation that keeping Carrick as the permanent manager of Manchester United is the obvious decision. Now, let me add my analysis here. Berbatov is not a man who speaks recklessly. He is thoughtful. He understands what this football club demands. And when someone with his understanding of Old Trafford says this is a no-brainer, that deserves serious attention. The reality for the club is that Champions League football has been secured. The team is playing with energy and purpose. The results under Carrick speak for themselves. So the question being asked by Berbatov is a fair one. What more does a manager need to do to earn the job permanently? The evidence suggests that sentiment among former players, current players and fans is moving strongly in one direction. And Berbatov has now added his voice to that growing chorus. Rasmus Hojlund, the chapter is closing. This one is important for Manchester United fans to understand clearly. Rasmus Hojlund has scored 14 goals in 41 appearances during his loan spell at Napoli. And the situation is now pointing firmly toward a permanent move. Napoli have an obligation to buy Hojlund for £38 million, which converts to approximately $51 million. That obligation is triggered if Napoli qualify for the Champions League. And Napoli are currently second in Serie A, sitting 6 points ahead of fifth-placed Roma with 3 games to play. That is not a race anymore. That is almost a formality. Now, here is my analysis. The reality for Manchester United is that this decision has essentially already been made by results on a pitch in Italy. Napoli are not going to collapse from second place and miss the Champions League. The gap is too large. The games remaining are too few. When Napoli secure that top 4 finish, the obligation triggers automatically. There is no negotiation. There is no chance for United to change course. The situation is one that tells us United will receive £38 million for a player they invested heavily in. 14 goals in 41 appearances is a solid but not exceptional return. Whether United reinvest that money wisely will matter far more than the Hojlund story itself. The Hojlund chapter at Old Trafford is closing. What comes next in that striker position is the real question this summer. The new KT debut. Manchester United are set to wear next season's home kit for the final 2 games of the current season. Those games are against Nottingham Forest and Brighton. That is the confirmed information. My analysis. This is a bold and deliberate commercial decision. Clubs do not debut upcoming kits accidentally. This is a calculated move to generate excitement, build anticipation, and drive early sales ahead of the summer. The timing also gives the club a visual statement about moving forward. New era, new kit, new energy on the pitch. It is a small detail, but it signals a club that is thinking about momentum, not just results. And after the turbulence of recent seasons, projecting forward movement matters. Goncalo, Ramos, and the Zirkzee situation. Now, this is a genuinely interesting transfer story to analyse. Manchester United still hold interest in Goncalo Ramos, the Paris Saint-Germain striker. Fresh contact has been made over a potential deal, and the reason is significant. Ramos is being considered as a replacement should Joshua Zirkzee leave the club. Paris Saint-Germain are open to selling or agreeing a loan with a purchase option. However, they are likely to want close to the 65 million euros they originally paid for Ramos. Here is my analysis. The situation is one of contingency planning. United are not necessarily choosing Ramos over Zirkzee. They are preparing for a scenario where Zirkzee departs. That is intelligent business thinking, particularly from a club that has been caught unprepared in previous transfer windows. The reality for the club is that 65 million euros is a significant fee. Paris Saint-Germain paid that price. They will want to recoup as close to that as possible. Whether United are willing to meet that valuation, especially when the loan with option route is available, will determine whether this moves forward. The evidence suggests this remains at an early stage. Contact has been made, interest is confirmed, but nothing is close to being completed. Supporters should monitor this one carefully without expecting immediate developments. Now, before we go deeper into this transfer window analyses, if you are finding value in what we are doing here on Adam United Analyst, then hit that subscribe button right now. This channel is dedicated to giving you real analyses, not just headlines. Every single story we cover, we break it down the right way. Hit subscribe and make sure you do not miss what is coming. Manchester United's midfield targets. This is the story that will define the next phase of this rebuild. And the direction United are taking is very revealing. The club are exploring smart, cost-effective midfield options. Rather than committing to 3 players at 80 to 100 million pounds each, the thinking is focused on intelligent value. The names being mentioned are as follows. Matheus Fernandes, Hayden Hackney, who is described as well known by Michael Carrick from their time together at Middlesbrough, Alex Scott, Aurelien Tchouameni, and Ederson. All of these names are described as more affordable alternatives to higher cost targets like Elliot Anderson and Sandro Tonali. Now let me give you my full analysis on this. The situation is one that reflects a club operating under financial discipline. This is not a United that is going to spend recklessly. This is a United that is trying to build sustainably. And frankly, after years of enormous fees for players who underdelivered, that approach is not just understandable, it is necessary. The Hayden Hackney mention is particularly interesting. Michael Carrick knows this player personally. He managed him at Middlesbrough. He understands his qualities, his mentality, his work rate. That kind of knowledge is invaluable when building a squad. Signing players your manager trusts is a foundation of sustainable squad building. Tchouameni's name being included is the one that adds ambition to this list. He is an established international level midfielder. His inclusion alongside the more affordable options suggests United are keeping all doors open, from the realistic to the aspirational. The evidence suggests United will move on multiple midfield additions this summer, with the priority being value and character over big names and big fees. That is the right approach given where this club is right now. Harry Kane, the transfer that never was, Michael Owen and Rio Ferdinand have shared a view that is worth examining carefully. Owen said this, Harry Kane should have happened a year ago, a couple of years ago. They could have got him. Ferdinand went further. That is the biggest mistake I think they have made in the last 10 years. I think if they go and pay the number that Spurs wanted for him, they would have got him. If it did not happen because of a couple of million here or there, I think it was a terrible decision. I am convinced if United had got Declan Rice and Harry Kane in that window, Manchester United are in a different place right now. Now, here is my analysis of this. The situation is one that many United supporters have felt deeply for years. The reality for the club at that time was that they had the opportunity to sign one of the best strikers in Premier League history, a player who understood English football, who had proven himself at the highest level, and who was available. And they did not get it done. Ferdinand's point about the combination of Kane and Declan Rice is powerful. Rice ended up at Arsenal, Kane ended up at Bayern Munich, two world-class players who could have transformed Manchester United's trajectory, and United passed on both. The evidence of what those two players have done since leaving English football speaks for itself. This is not revisionism. This is a legitimate reflection on a moment where the club's decision-making failed them. What makes this conversation even more relevant now is that United are back in a rebuilding phase. The lessons from that Kane situation must inform how they approach big decisions in this summer window. Do not hesitate. Do not haggle over margins. If the player is right, get it done. Casemiro responds to Jamie Carragher. This is one of the most compelling personal stories in English football this season. Casemiro has spoken directly about Jamie Carragher's suggestion that the football had left him and that he should consider retiring. Here is exactly what Casemiro said. Everyone says whatever they want on television. I am not someone who gets involved in that. But it is a bit normal because I won 2 Champions League titles over his team. Maybe after you win 2 titles against his club, there is still some bitterness there. I respect his opinion. I do not hold any resentment. The important thing is that he recognized he was wrong and changed his opinion. That is what matters most. My analysis. The situation is one that reveals the character of a truly elite professional. Casemiro did not respond with anger. He did not attack Carragher publicly. He simply stated the facts. He won 2 Champions League titles over Carragher's club. He acknowledged there might be some bitterness in that, and then he moved on to the point that actually mattered to him. That Carragher changed his mind after seeing the evidence. The reality for the club is that Casemiro's response here tells us everything about why his revival at Manchester United has been so remarkable. This is a man with unshakable belief in himself. When the world wrote him off, he did not collapse. He competed. He proved people wrong. And then he did it with class. That is a legacy. And it will be remembered at Old Trafford long after he leaves. Ahmad on Bruno Fernandes. This one genuinely moved me as an analyst because of what it reveals about the human side of football. Ahmad was asked about Bruno Fernandes, and this is what he said. Bruno is Bruno. He is the player that is our dream to play with. He is a big legend for me, and he has been so good for the club since he arrived in 2020. He is a big example, a big leader, a big captain. He tries to help everyone, every young player who comes to the first team. I remember when I came here in 2021, my English was not really good, but he tried to help me in Italian because he speaks Italian, so he was the guy who was doing the translation for me. He is the guy that is available for everyone. This season, everyone can see how good he is, and we have to help him as a team to break that assist record. My analysis. The situation is one that tells you exactly why Bruno Fernandes is arguably the most important player at Manchester United right now. Beyond the assists, beyond the goals, beyond the leadership on the pitch. The man speaks Italian to help a young player from the Ivory Coast feel comfortable. That is the kind of detail that separates true leaders from people who simply wear the armband. The reality for the club is that Fernandes is not just a footballer. He is the culture. He is the standard. When the players around him speak about him with this level of admiration, it creates a gravitational pull. Younger players want to work harder because Bruno works harder. They want to improve because Bruno demands improvement. And the mention of the assist record is fascinating. Ahmad is openly saying the squad is motivated to help Bruno reach it. That is collective purpose. That is team spirit. And that is exactly what has been missing at Old Trafford for too long. Arsenal monitoring Marcus Rashford. This is a story that requires careful handling. Arsenal are keeping tabs on Marcus Rashford's situation. His long-term future is described as increasingly uncertain at both Manchester United and Barcelona, where he is currently based. My analysis, the situation is one that confirms the uncertainty surrounding Rashford has not been resolved. He is at Barcelona right now. His future at Manchester United is unclear. And now a club of Arsenal's stature are reportedly paying attention. The reality for the club is that if Rashford's situation remains unresolved this summer, it creates complexity. United will need clarity on whether he has a future at Old Trafford under the new direction being established under Michael Carrick. If the answer is no, then managing that exit professionally will matter. The evidence suggests nothing is decided yet. Arsenal monitoring a situation is very different from Arsenal making a move. But the fact that a club of that quality is watching tells you that Rashford still has significant market value and that interest in him will not disappear. United fans should watch this one develop over the coming weeks. Elliot Anderson, the big bid is coming. Manchester United are reportedly about to submit a massive upgraded bid for Nottingham Forest midfielder Elliot Anderson. Nottingham Forest are described as being about to get tested to the limit. My analysis, the situation is one that escalates quickly. An upgraded bid is not an opening offer. It means United have already made contact, received resistance, and are now going back stronger. That tells us the club are serious about this target. The reality for the club is that Anderson has been mentioned as a higher cost target in the same breath as Sandro Tonali in terms of the kind of investment required. This is not the cost-effective end of the midfield market. This is United going after a specific established Premier League talent. Nottingham Forest will not make this easy. But if United are willing to stretch their offer significantly, this could be one of the defining signings of the summer window. Anderson fits the profile of a dynamic, energetic midfielder that this team needs to build around. The evidence suggests this one is moving fast. Keep a very close eye on developments here. Iliman Ndiaye, United versus Liverpool. Manchester United and Liverpool are set to go head-to-head in the race to sign Everton attacker Iliman Ndiaye. Both clubs have shown strong interest in the forward. Everton are expected to demand a fee in the region of £70 million. The additional detail is important. Ndiaye is one of several young, high-potential talents being considered as part of an expanded shortlist as both clubs look to inject more creativity and depth into their squads. His profile fits the type of dynamic, forward-thinking addition they are both aiming to bring in. My analysis: the situation is one that places Manchester United in direct competition with their fiercest rivals for a player that both clubs believe can help them improve next season. £70 million is a significant fee, but when you are competing with Liverpool for a player, the risk of losing them to that specific club adds extra urgency to any decision. The reality for the club is that Ndiaye represents exactly the kind of attacking quality and creativity that the current squad could benefit from. Young, dynamic, high ceiling. The profile is right. The evidence suggests this is a genuine contest between two of the Premier League's most ambitious clubs. United cannot afford to enter this fight half-heartedly. If Ndiaye is truly a target they believe in, they need to move decisively before Liverpool do. Casemiro and the greatest achievement of his career. Now let me take you deeper into the Casemiro story because this deserves its own full analysis. The facts are clear. Ruben Amorim publicly placed Casemiro behind every other midfielder in his squad, including Toby Collier. He questioned his intensity. He essentially told the world that the 34-year-old Brazilian was not part of his plans. What happened next is extraordinary. Casemiro has had the highest scoring season of his career at Manchester United. He has formed a brilliant partnership with Michael Carrick. He has become a cult figure to the supporters, and he is now leaving this summer as a hero. In his own words, and these are powerful words, so I want to take time with them, Casemiro said this. He said he could have easily dropped his head. He already had the titles he won in his career. Life would have gone on. But no, he always wanted to play for this club. He always wanted to show he was capable. He wanted to prove to the fans that he was a player worthy of Manchester United. He went further. He said that one of the biggest achievements of his career has been this comeback, changing a coach's opinion. A coach who did not count on him, who said he lacked intensity, and who now, even by his own admission, has changed his mind after seeing him in training and in matches. My analysis: the situation is one that should be studied by every professional athlete. This is what elite mentality looks like in practice. It is not just talk, it is not motivation speeches. It is choosing every single day to compete at your absolute maximum, even when the person in charge has publicly dismissed you. The reality for the club is that Casemiro's revival has been one of the most remarkable individual stories in Manchester United's recent history. In a season full of difficulty and transition, he became one of the constants, one of the reasons supporters still had something to celebrate. The evidence of his impact is not just statistical. It is cultural. It is the chants from the stands asking him to stay. It is the reaction when he scores. It is the way his teammates speak about him. This is a player who walked back into the light when the easy path was to walk out the door. And that final home game against Nottingham Forest, when the fans say goodbye to him properly, will be genuinely emotional. Because what Casemiro has given this club in these final months has been more than football. It has been a masterclass in character. Wayne Rooney, Michael Carrick, and the case for permanence. The final piece of analysis today centres on a conversation that is becoming impossible to ignore. Wayne Rooney has made his position absolutely clear. Michael Carrick should be appointed as the permanent manager of Manchester United. Rooney's argument is built on logic and evidence. Carrick has overseen 10 wins from 14 Premier League matches in charge. He has secured Champions League qualification. He has taken the club from 6th place to 3rd in the table. He has done this after inheriting a squad in disarray in the middle of a season with limited preparation time. Rooney posed a direct and important question. If it were Luis Enrique or Thomas Tuchel who had produced those numbers, would there be any doubt whatsoever about giving them the job permanently? The answer, according to Rooney, is no. There would be celebration. There would be unanimity. So the only reason doubt exists about Carrick, Rooney argues, is because he is a young English manager. And in his view, that is simply not a good enough reason. My analysis. The situation is one that exposes a real bias in English football thinking. We have spent years calling for English managers to be given opportunities at the highest level. And then when one steps up and delivers Champions League football, there is hesitation. The reality for the club is that the numbers do not lie. 10 wins from 14 games in the Premier League is a record that demands respect, regardless of who produces it. The squad is the same squad that was 6th under the previous manager. The players have not changed. The results have. That means the coaching has changed something fundamentally. Rooney also made a point about Carrick's experience managing in the Championship with Middlesbrough that is worth examining. He said that squad rotation in the Championship is actually harder than in the Premier League in some ways because the quality depth is shallower. Carrick has already proven he can manage that challenge. The evidence suggests that the body of work, the transformation in results, the culture change described by players like Ahmad, the securing of Champions League football, all of it points overwhelmingly in one direction. Michael Carrick has earned this job. The question is whether the people in charge of making that decision are willing to trust what the evidence is clearly showing them. Rooney believes they should. Berbatov believes they should. The players believe they should. The supporters believe they should. This is the moment for Manchester United to get this decision right. We have covered a lot of ground today on Adam United Analyst, and the picture that emerges when you look at all of these stories together is fascinating. This is a Manchester United in the middle of a genuine transformation. There is still enormous work to be done in the transfer market this summer. Midfield needs to be rebuilt. Attacking options need to be addressed. Decisions on departing players like Casemiro and possibly Rashford need to be handled with care. But the foundation being laid right now is more solid than this club has had in years. And the voice coming out of Old Trafford, from the players, from legends of the game, from the performances on the pitch, is telling a consistent story. Something is changing. Something is improving. And if the right decisions are made this summer, that change could be the beginning of something genuinely significant. That is the analysis for today. Thank you for watching Adam United Analyst. If this kind of deep, structured breakdown is what you had been looking for, subscribe right now. Share this video with any United supporter who deserves proper analysis instead of just headlines. We will be back very soon with more. Until then, take care.